What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews, and no other sports betting YouTubers create this type of content and hold a baby at the same time. Now, it's the only way I can get this all out to you, so surely that deserves a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, because I drop bangers just like this every single day. I'll be going through some of my best bets. I'll give you the detailed reasons why, and I'll give you all the information that you need to make the best bets possible. Now, if that sounds interesting, let's go. So we're jumping into Outlier the way you always do. Outlier is the number one tool to go to if you need to look at some player props, if you want historical data and some insights. Outlier is going to give it to you. If you're interested in checking out Outlier, I've got a 7-day free trial in the video description below. Check it out. So we're looking at the Seattle Storm versus the Connecticut Sun. Now, these teams just played each other not too long ago, so it's one of those back-to-back sets that I don't like betting on. But luckily enough, I've actually kept my notes and my bets from the previous game. I didn't create a video about it. It was Father's Day here in Australia, and I didn't have enough time to get it out, but I still have all the bets that I placed, which one, and the research. So I'll be going through all that with you. So let's get straight into it. Looking at the first pick, we're looking at Brianna Jones. Where Bri at? Now, Bri, my goodness, check out this write-up that I did for this pick, and then we'll look at the results. So when they last played, her line was at 11.5, and I had a bet for that. At the time, she covered this line in 8 of the last 10 games, averaging 12.6. She has an excellent matchup against the Storm. Pretty good defensive team, but where they suck is within the paint. Now, Brianna Jones scores 82% of her points in the paint. When I ran the numbers against the bottom 5 teams in paint points allowed, we're talking about the Sky, the Wings, the Liberty, the Sparks, and the Storm. Brianna Jones has covered this line in 12 out of 13 games this season, averaging 15 points per game. Now, I wrote that up as the write-up before that last game that just happened, and she scored 26 points. So if you add the 26 points, the average is higher and the hit rate is higher as well. She's played the Storm twice now this season. In the first outing, 14 points, only 38% shooting. Then in that most recent game, 26 points, shot 69% from the field and got to the free throw line as well. On the season, she shoots about 65% from the field. So even though that 69% sounds huge, well, it is huge, don't get me wrong. Oh, I drop my control. Even though it's a really good output, she should be able to shoot between 50 and 60% in this game. And if she does play in her regular minutes, I like our chances here. Run it back, Brianna Jones, over 12.5 points. Do some line shopping. I was able to get it close to plus 100 for Brianna Jones. So be sure to check that out. Next play that we're looking at is Skylar Diggins. Now, Skylar Diggins-Smith, I liked her over in the last game, over 13.5 points. You can get this at 14.5 for better odds. If you're like me and you like chasing plus money, take the 14.5. Now, Skylar Diggins-Smith, tough matchup against the Connecticut Sun, but they do have some cracks. The Connecticut Sun, they're bottom 5 in defensive ranking in the restricted area, and Diggins loves to drive to the cup. The Sun ranked number 1 in points allowed in the paint, which normally impacts bigs, and that's the people who live down low. Now, when I run the numbers for Skylar Diggins, against the top 6 teams in points in the paint defense, she's actually covered this line in 7 out of her last 9 games, averaging 17 points per game. Now, she also has great home and away splits when it comes to scoring the ball. Check this out. At home, she averages 14 points and 7 assists, right? Gets her teammates involved. On the road, 16.4 points and only 5.6 assists. So her scoring rate goes up and her assist rate goes down when she travels. She actually takes it upon herself to score more points in tougher matchups. So her numbers on the road, multiplied by the fact that it's a tough matchup for her teammates, lead me to believe that she won't be afraid to call her own shot in this one. Now, she just played the Connecticut Sun after I wrote that write-up. She scored 16 points, got 6 assists. And in that game, a few players overperformed. Nyeka Ogwumike and Jewel Lloyd. I think they scored a lot more than they really should have in this game. It may slow down a little bit. I don't think it's going to be as high scoring. And when it does, Skylar Diggins is going to be leaned on to score more points. So even though that research was for the game that's already been played, they're playing this time again. And I think the matchup still suits and the research is still going to work. So those two I ran last time with a ton of success. Hopefully we can make it 2 from 2 from both of those players. The last pick that I have to share is also within the same game. And we're looking at Dewana Bonner. And I'm looking to take her under here, under 15.5 points. Now, I didn't bet this last time. I had it as a lean. And I wish I did, because she scored 4 points in that last matchup against Seattle. So DeWanna Bonner, she's struggling right now. She's gone under in 7 out of her last 10 games, averaging 12.8 points per game. She scored 4 points in that most recent matchup against Seattle. She only took 5 shots. Now, she scored less than 10 points in both games against the Storm this season. Check it out. 9 points and then 4 points. And the matchup is horrendous for her. Against the top 5 teams for points allowed, she's gone under in 4 out of her last 5 games. Check it out right here. That's the Liberty, the Dream, the Liberty again, and then the Storm. The Storm, they also allow the second fewest points to forwards on the season. You can see that right here on Outlier. Now, Bonner, the way that she scores in the pick and roll, scores in transition, and from spot-up shooting. Unfortunately for her, the Storm rank in the top 4 in defensive ranking for all of these play types. So I don't know if you're man enough to join me, but I'm looking at under 15.5 for DeWanna Bonner. She's struggling right now. This matchup is tougher than the skin on my elbows. Pumping the brakes real quick. Our first week of NFL is on its way. Now, I've got a newborn baby. Also create content on basketball. So being honest with you, I don't have enough time to commit to creating content on NFL as well. Can't fit it in my schedule. I've tried to make it work, and I just can't see how it's going to happen consistently. But I'm not going to create content on NFL, but you're damn right that I'm going to be betting on it. So if you're interested in tailing all of my picks on NFL and college football, I've actually created this plan on Winnable where you can subscribe and you can get all of my bets. So you can check that out right here. There's obviously the free plan, which I encourage every single person to jump onto. My free plan, the place to go if you don't have access to my YouTube videos every day. All my free bets will go there. There's one every single day. There's also the NBA, WNBA plan, and also the NFL and college football plan. So they're both priced at very much the same price. Well, college football's been going all right, pretty profitable at the moment. Today, we only had one bet on the FSU versus Boston College game, and that happened to cash at the start of the second quarter. We took the quarterback for Boston College to score, and he was the first scorer, and he scored at the start of the second quarter. So I was pretty happy with that. Made a couple of units there. But look, I can't lie to you. Where the value is, though, it is on the VIP picks. It's not necessarily on those specific plans. Let me show you why. So the VIP picks, $49 a week compared to if you bought the NBA and the NFL one separately, you're looking at close to $60. So the VIP is definitely cheaper, but also VIP also gets pumped up with some promo codes and stuff like that. Right now, there's still a promo code that's available. On my last video, I created a code. Use the code WIN. Gives you 50% off your subscription for the next 3 months. Our goal there is to get you guys onto the VIP, win enough money to pay for the yearly subscription for VIP. I do have a couple of spots left. There's about 13 spots left on VIP, so be sure to check that out. NFL is coming up. College football's already started. Obviously, WNBA has been banging, and MLB has been pretty profitable over the last couple of weeks. So another good thing that I just discovered with Winnable is that they also have financing options as well, which means you won't pay for the first 30 days. You can choose to do an interest fee, and then you can pay everything off over the year. So it's a better way to put more money in your bankroll and then spend less paying for this. So getting quick, as I said, 13 redemptions left on the promo code. Links for this are in the video description and in the pinned comment below. All right, so we're jumping into the next game. It's the Mystics. It's the Washington Mystics versus the Wings. I wanted to share a lean with you all because I was close to betting it, but there was something in my gut that I couldn't get with, but I think the research is pretty sound. So I'm looking at over 12.5 points here for Brittany Sykes. Lines moved to 13.5, but I'm sure you can get it at 12.5 somewhere. And the reason why I like this bet is that it's the ideal matchup for her. But the main concern I have is that her minutes, they're just all over the place. Check these minutes out. Came back from injury here, ramped her back up, got to about 30 minutes, and they're coming back down again. She also sucked in the last 2 games. But look, she's covered this line in 2 of 7 games since returning from injury. Her minutes, as I said, trending down over the last 2. Sun and the Sky, they were difficult matchups, so I'm not overly surprised to see her ineffective in those games and then getting less court time. But let's talk a bit about the matchup here. Now, Brittany Sykes, she scores her points in the pick and roll, transition, getting to the free throw line as well. Now, the Dallas Wings, they rank in the bottom 2 in all of these play types. They allow the most points in the paint and in the restricted area, and Sykes scores 59% of her points from there. So the main risk I have here is on minutes and rotations, but if she sticks with it, she plays well, stays on the court for 30 minutes, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we see Brittany Sykes score 15 to 20 points in this one. So just a lean for now, but just those minutes and the rotations make me a little bit uncomfortable, but I think it's a pretty good look. The matchup is perfect. All right, the next play that I have for you is something that I've already placed my bet on. Our P members have received this a couple of hours ago. But we're looking at Satu Sabali over 2.5 3-pointers made. This is a plus money play, and you know how I feel about plus money. I get a little bit aroused. Now, she's covered this in 5 out of her last 7 games since returning from injury. What I love about it is she's attempting 6 3-pointers per game at a 49% clip. This matchup is excellent because this Mystics team, they allow the 4th most 3-pointers made to forwards. And the wings, they're not the wings, the Mystics, they're also bottom 3 at defending spot-up shooters and bottom 5 at defending above the break. Now, the Mystics, they allow the third most 3-point attempts. Now, I've done the research against other teams which allow a ton of 3-pointers. We're talking about the Aces and the Indiana Fever here. Small sample size, but Satu, she's covered this line in both of those games, and she averaged 4 3-pointers made per game in them. So the hit rate on these is excellent. The matchup is terrific as well. I think she'll take 6 to 7 3-pointers, and she'll make at least 3 of them. You can book that in for sure. Satu Sabali. That's all I really had in that particular game. I had a few other leans, but I'm not going to stretch this video out by hammering on shit I'm not going to bet on. Let's get into the Sky versus the Aces. Very limited number of players that you can bet on this game, but the one that I did ultimately take the bet on here was Jackie Young. So for Jackie Young, I'm actually looking at under 16.5 points for her. Crazy, but I'm doing it. Now, she just hasn't been herself since returning from Paris. She's covered this line in only 2 out of 7 games. She's still played 30 minutes in each of these games, but her shot volume is down. On the season, she takes more than 13 shot attempts per game. Post the Olympic break, she's taking less than 10. Now, I've done another dive into the numbers. In the games where she's taken 10 or less shots, there's been 6 of them so far this season. 4 of them have been after the Olympic break. Now, in these games, she's averaging 6.3 points per game, and she obviously hasn't covered any of them, and her highest point total being 11 points, and that was her most recent game against the Phoenix Mercury. And that Phoenix Mercury matchup was perfect for her. She's got a more difficult matchup here against the Sky. Jackie Young does a lot of shit in the pick and roll. The Chicago Sky, they rank 2nd overall in defensive ranking for that play type. The risk that I have in this game, though, for Jackie Young is that she can get hot. We saw it against the Lynx. I think I might have bet her under then, to be honest. She scored 26 points against the Lynx in a tough matchup. So if you do happen to ride with me and bet Jackie Young's unders, you're probably going to be sweating the whole game. But keeping in mind, Asia's balling out right now, Plum's somewhat consistent, and Tiffany Hayes off the bench is producing quite well. The Aces have a few other options on offense, and at 16.5 for Jackie Young, based on her volume, it seems a little bit too high for me. So I think this one, it cashes pretty easy, or we find out in the first quarter that it's going to be a loser because she's going to be lighting it up. But I'm willing to take that bet. Jackie Young. Now, that's the only bet that I have in this particular game. I wasn't really feeling Reese rebounds at the moment. Asia Young, it's hard for me to bet on her. I did lean to take her over on rebounds, but when I was writing it up and doing my research, I was like, there's not enough reasons here to bet it, so I chose not to. But I still think they're pretty good plays. It just was hard for me to portray it to everybody else. Now let's get into the Dream versus the Mercury. Now, Natasha Cloud is out for this game, being suspended for complaining too much. Surprise, surprise. But Diana Taurasi got hers rescinded, so she'll be playing. But what am I looking at? I've got 2 players, both of them from the Dream. Let's talk about it. So I like Alicia Gray to score some points today. I'm looking at over 17.5, but you can also make the pivot to over her 2.5 3-pointers made. Let's do some line shopping, see where you can get some pretty good odds. I think I ultimately took her 3-pointers made prop because I got some decent odds for them, but I'll leave it up to you to decide because I think they're pretty much aligned. So she had a pretty quiet night against the Spark. She scored 12 points, but she did make 2 3-pointers, and that was a blowout win. Tina Charles did a lot of the damage. She's covered this line 3-pointers now in 6 consecutive games. If you look at her points line, she's covered it only 2 out of her last 5, averaging 17 per game, though. Throwing away how she has been playing, if we think about this matchup, it is perfect for her. This Mercury team are awful defensively. They're dead last at defending above the break, and that's where Alicia Gray lives. There was a majority of her points there. They're also their worst at defending spot-up shooters, which is another part where Alicia Gray gets a lot of buckets. She has also had a ton of success against the Mercury this season, scoring 20-plus points in all 3 matchups. Check that out. 22, 21, and 22. You like that, boy? Hey, you're not going to throw up on me on this video, I hope. 20-plus points for Alicia Gray, or she's going to hit a couple of 3-pointers. I think her points prop it probably pays a little bit better, but it'll take her a bit longer to hit. Her 3-pointers made, she can get that done real quick. So I expect Gray and Ryan Howard to carry much more of the offense in this game because Tina Charles, unfortunately, doesn't have a great matchup. I think Tina Charles rebounds well in this one. I just couldn't find myself convinced to take her points prop. But someone I was convinced in taking is my girl Ryan Howard. They're looking at over 2.5 3-pointers made for her. We've played this bet quite a few times, and we're usually catching it at plus money, which has been delivering, but not today. This matchup is way too good to get Howard for 2.5 3-pointers made at plus money, but at the same time, it means that the chances of hitting are better. Now, here's why. Firstly, her volume is nuts. She takes almost 10 3-point attempts per game. Tina Charles, she has the more difficult matchup inside, so I think they get more production outside from Howard and Gray. She's covered this line in 6 out of her last 8 games, and I call it out because she's played 8 games since that Olympic break. She also scores 51% of her points from above the break, and as I said earlier, the Mercury dead last in defending that spot. They're also dead last at defending spot-up shooters, so Howard should get a few easy looks from deep. So on volume alone, I'd probably bet this anyway if the odds are right. But now you factor in that the volume's going to be there. She smoked them in the past. Check this out. 3 games against the Mercury this season, 5, 4, and 3 3-pointers. So the volume's good. She smoked them in the past, and the matchup is perfect for her play type. Another way to think about it, I also think the Dream can cover the spread here against the Mercury. Mercury are trending down. The Dream are trending up. It all makes sense to me. So Ryan Howard over her 3-pointers made. Alicia Gray over her 3-pointers made plus her points prop as well. I got to say, I'm somewhat impressed with myself with a game with a slate this large. Easy for me to get carried away and put a whole ton of bets down. And don't get me wrong, I still put a lot in. If you're interested in checking out all of those bets, because I've got parlays, high value singles, value plays, I'll go all that type of shit. It's in my VIP. The picks have already been sent. Check those out. Sign up with the code WIN. 50% off for the next 3 months. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter or X. I've made a decision that I'm going to try to build that up, post more content, insights, and it's also a great way for you guys to get in contact with me if you want to chat about anything and everything. But look, I'm going to take care of this little boy. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I appreciate you all for watching. Peace.